So I had a business that was an apparel business, and it actually started out as a sports apparel business. So I was coaching track and field and cross country, and we had one vendor that we could go to for uniforms and equipment. And the vendor was slow and overpriced. And I talked to some of my fellow coaches that I had been coaching with for years, and I said, if there was another option, would you consider them? And all of them had the same answer. They wouldn't consider them, they would move right along to them. So I started printing jerseys, and I printed jerseys. My first order ever was field hockey jerseys. I printed numbers on the back and names and sizes, and it was a lot of work and it was a mess, but I learned a lot in this process. And then I started printing some easier jerseys, which are like a cross-country jersey. You don't have a name and number, you just have the logo on the front. So I figured that, same order, same margins there that I was making, but in this case, it was easier work for me. Eventually, I learned that I had a lot more corporate contacts than sports contacts because I was a coach in one small league and I could gain their trust and I could get their orders. But in order to be a full-fledged business, I needed a lot more. So I decided to move on to t-shirts and polo shirts and bags. Now I was in a different game with different competitors, but I was printing shirts instead of tens and 20s, I was printing them in hundreds and thousands. And I would get upwards of 40,000 pieces that I was printing the same logo on each one of those. And it was just a size breakdown. So the margins were still there, but the work got a little bit easier. Not only with the experiences I was gaining as an entrepreneur, but it was also the fact that I learned what my niche was. So eventually, if you take my business all the way through the 8 years of existence, I started from scratch and I was a sports apparel uniform guy. And that's what I was known for at first. And then I went to kind of a corporate realm where I was printing larger orders, enjoying it, making good money at that point. But I really found my niche in the running community. And the reason I say this is because I was a runner myself, so I had the contacts there, and there was a 5K race, a half marathon race every single weekend. And I saw this as my niche because I was standing there, I was wearing these t-shirts, I was receiving these t-shirts as a participant, so why not make sure that I'm printing all of these t-shirts? So I connected with a local running company and I started printing their shirts for them. And here's how I sold it to them. I would say, what are you currently paying for your shirts? And they were pretty transparent at times, and they would say something like $5.50 a piece. And I would say, it looks like you have about 4 sponsors on the back, which are really coming on race shirts. And they said, yes. I said, well, what do they do for you? And they would give their spiel, and that was different for each one. I said, what if I got you 4 more sponsors, and they donated the water for your race, the apples for your race, the oranges for your race, the whatever your needs are, and started cutting down cost? I said, ultimately, you'd be getting these t-shirts kind of for free in a sense. And they said, this sounds wonderful. So they connected with me. But what was great is I was also connecting with these vendors who wanted to be on the back of 500, 1,000 t-shirts. And all it cost them was water that they already had or oranges that they were already giving out to the community. So now they not only had a good cause, but they were gaining exposure from a marketing end. So it was a win-win. And then they gained trust in me as a company, so when they had a need for polo shirts, for giveaways, whatever it might be, I was their go-to. So this was a wonderful relationship, not only with the running community, but all the businesses that supported it. So it was a wonderful experience, and eventually it did run its course, and I ended up selling the company. But when I did, they were known for the race community and kind of corporate apparel.